Now, the importance of understanding a Keepa graph is vital to all Amazon sellers. It's going to show you price history and bestseller rank history over the lifespan of this entire listing, and we'll get into the different nuances of this graph here in a second. So, more importantly, why is that important? Why do you need to know that, and how is that going to actually help you in your Amazon business? Well, if you can better understand those two things, so the price history and the bestseller rank history, then you'll be able to make more informed decisions on purchases because you'll be able to better anticipate what the sales velocity will be when your inventory actually goes live, which is not at the time of the purchase, right? And what you can expect to actually sell it for. So if you're serious about selling more and making more on Amazon, understanding Keepa graphs will really help you immensely. And the great part about Keepa is that you don't need to pay for it. Now, there is a paid version, and it's $15 a month, but you don't need that. The free version works great. You can simply go to Keepa.com and sign up for an account, download the Chrome extension, as you'll see right here, right? And then you'll start seeing graphs pop up on your Amazon listings right here below. When you open a listing, the Keepa graph's just automatically going to load once you download the extension. The only reason, in my opinion, that you'd want to upgrade is if you either want to look at historical data on the buybox price or historical data on the sales rank. Now, I don't personally do this, like I said, but you can if you want. I personally estimate sales velocity using the Jungle Scout Chrome extension, which you'll see right here. If we just pop it down, it's going to tell me the daily sales, the monthly sales, and the monthly revenue, and all sorts of goodies like that. Now, the reason is because I move fast when shipping a lot of my products into FBA, so not much changes in that time period for the bestseller rank. So while it is and it can be beneficial to other sellers to look at the history of the bestseller rank, which is one of the things here that you'll see with sales rank right here that you don't get in the free version, that's okay with me personally because I just use the Jungle Scout sales data right here, and I know that it's really only going to take me a few days to a week max to get my product into FBA. Keep in mind though that those estimates will be based on the bestseller rank for that snapshot in time currently when you're actually looking at the product listing, and bestseller ranks and sales data can go up or down slightly. Now, when you initially look at a Keepa chart, it can seem daunting. This is actually not a bad one at all and doesn't seem that daunting. There are lines that usually go everywhere, there are different colors, and it can be confusing, almost looking like another language. It can be overwhelming. I get it, I've been there. But it's important to understand that on the side right here, you can select and deselect different things based on what you want to look at that current time. So if you only want to look at specific data, you have the ability to click those on and off. That way you're not going to get confused by all the other random data that is irrelevant to what you're actually looking at. Now, the first thing to understand about a Keepa chart is the color schemes. So Amazon is clearly in orange, as you'll see here. The lowest new price, not counting shipping, is going to be in blue right here. And the lowest used price, not counting shipping, is in black right here. Now, depending on what you are sourcing for, some of this information might not be relevant, and then you can deselect it so you can focus on the information that is important. You can also see that two of the things that you won't get access to with the free version are the history of the bestseller rank and the buy box price. So obviously the sales rank, if you click it, you won't be able to see that. And if you go down to the buy box price, you will not be able to see that. So you can pay the 15 euros a month if you want to subscribe for that. I don't personally do it. I don't think you need it. You can also adjust the date range on the graph to look at more recent data or more long-term data. So if you see here, the lifespan of this listing is approximately 1,834 days. So it's a pretty decent listing. It's been around for a decent amount of time. You can also go to the last year, the last 3 months, the last month, the last week, and the last day, or do a custom date range. So let's go back to 3 months here, and we're going to deselect everything and just look at Amazon so you get the best idea of how to actually read this chart one by one. Now, if you see where there's a white space on the graph, so there's no white spaces on this graph, but I pulled up another example to show you. So right here, you'll see this white space on this graph. And that is a period in time when Amazon is out of stock and no longer a seller on the listing. But then you can see, obviously, they come back onto the listing right here. So the shaded part indicates when Amazon is in stock versus out of stock. Now, the line at the top, as you can see, kind of shifts. That dark line at the top, that's going to indicate their price. Now, this is important because you can look at the price trend of an item. For example, if you source something that's, $4, for example, and the current buy box price is 30, then that could be a good opportunity, correct? But you'll want to take a more in-depth look at the price history of the Keepa chart to make sure. So if the price history has been, pretty steady at around $30, maybe, for example, it starts here at like 28, and then it goes back up to like 32, and then stays around 30 for, a long period of time, then that's obviously a pretty good buy and a safe bet to make money on. On the other hand, if the price is super up and down on the Keepa chart and it looks volatile and it happens to be $30 currently, but for the majority of the time it was all the way down here at 8, then you might want to look more in depth into it and move forward with caution. Now, understanding Keepa graphs can help save you from making poor buying decisions too. For example, let's say you're sourcing a product that costs you $15 and you look at the Amazon listing and it sells for $100. Immediately, you're going to get excited and think that you just scored big. Now, a beginner purchases that product without thinking twice. I mean, they did their research, right? You buy a product for $15, the listing sells at $100, it's a no-brainer. But the experienced seller, on the other hand, knows to look further into that, right? They want to look at the price trend on the Keepa graph to make sure that that price isn't just an aberration or an outlier, because potentially what the beginner might not know is that the price has been around $20 for about 90% of the time, or 95% of the time of that item's lifespan, and you can look at it by adjusting the date range right here, right? And then obviously it's $100 right now all of a sudden simply because Amazon is out of stock and the only other seller on the listing raised the price drastically to try to take advantage of it. If that were the case, then you could potentially buy the product at $15, expecting to make a lot of money, but then by the time it gets into FBA, the price might have dropped back down to $20, which is its normal price, and you could end up losing money after fees. I see this all the time. I've also made this mistake many times. That's how I know. So this is a perfect example of why understanding Keepa graphs can really help you judge quality buys versus risky buys. Now, you can do the same thing with the lowest new price and the lowest used price as well. Keep in mind that you can deselect and select the information that you want to see, so your chart isn't confusing and only displaying the relevant information to your purchase. I really hope this helps, and that's pretty much how you read a Keepa chart to better judge product purchases.